quick check now for starting lineups for both teams. First for the Spurs, Parker and Danny Green are your 1 and your 2. And in the middle, out of Brazil, taken with the 28th pick back in 2008, the 6'11" pivot man, Thiago Splitter. Then there's Kawhi Leonard, and it's Duncan in at the power forward position. And for the Heat, Chalmers and D-Wade are the guards. And playing at the 5, the always versatile 6'11" star big man, able to score inside and out, Chris Bosh. Then it's LeBron James, and it's Haslam in at the 4. On defense, the Spurs. Inside, back to Chalmers, Wade. No good off the front iron.
A dramatic improvement for the San Antonio Spurs defensively last season, guys. Coach Pop had suggested that they might have gotten too old to be an elite defensive team anymore, but that wasn't the case. I think he challenged them a little bit, and they raised the bar of their defensive performance.
On defense, Miami. And a fast break now for the Spurs. And Green slams it in.
Boy, the floor really opened up for him there.
It sure did. I mean, that was a very late reaction from the defense there.
Goes back up. Haslam, that's good.
Well, that's how you pick up second chance points. Stay active, be energetic, and react as soon as the shot goes up.
And Clark, you mentioned the defensive improvement of the Spurs. Going into last season, their stat gurus told them they needed to focus even more on contesting shots, even if that meant committing more fouls or allowing more offensive rebounds.
Well, that's exactly what they did, Kevin. They gave up a few more offensive rebounds, fouled slightly more than they had the prior season, but they were better in terms of shot blocks, steals, and they held their opponents to a lower field goal percentage. So a great example of getting an edge from advanced stats.
Well, this is how you completely rattle an opponent's rhythm.
Yeah, you know, such terrific on-the-ball defense to trigger the transition opportunity.
And it wasn't just the tough D, it was the exclamation point they put on the fast break with the slam.
They've had a cold start so far, just 1 of 5 from the floor here early.
Right side, Green, all alone. And that one hits back iron.
Well, he's wide open there, but really struggles from that range. Maybe there's a reason he's open.
Boy, this is a neat story, guys. Danny Green was undrafted out of North Carolina. And another nice find for perhaps the best organization in all of sports, the San Antonio Spurs. He's an excellent three-point shooter, over 40% from three-point range for his career. He helps that team spread the floor, and that energizes their high-powered offense.
That free throw, no good. And Green, nice versatility, too. Not just an outside shooter.
No, he's an excellent defensive player. In fact, Greg Popovich calls upon him to often guard the opponent's best wing player. So for Green, a two-way player, a guy who can get it done at both ends of the floor.
That one misses.
Only 3 teams in the entire Eastern Conference had a better than 500 record against the West, and no surprise the Heat were one of those 3, and they were dominant against Western Conference opponents all year long.
Leonard. Splitter passes to Leonard. Green kicks to Parker. Passes it to Duncan. Tipped away. Parker dishes to Duncan. Back to Parker. The feed to Green. Clock at 6. Here's Splitter. They shoot again. And lots of contact there. Missing the shot. He'll shoot 2. That's on LeBron James.
One quality of his that really stands out is his skill as a screen setter in the pick and roll. Actually, he's good on both ends of that play, but I really like putting him in that situation.
And Steve, you know, being a good finisher in the pick and roll requires timing and athleticism, and he's got both.
No good on that one. Clark, adding on to what you were saying about the Heat versus the West, they ended up 25-5, which is incredible, Steve, given how many tough teams that are in the Western Conference.
That's amazing, Kevin. They had a better record against the West than they did against the East in terms of their winning percentage. So I think that speaks to just how motivated Miami was when they went out on the road to the West in particular to really show everybody how good they were.
The Spurs have always been very mindful of resting key players during the regular season. Some of it has to do with the age of their players. Some of it is regarding talent because they knew they were a playoff team most years. And you look at the research, there is something to be said for not playing guys when they're fatigued, because injuries are more likely if you play tired. Not trying to rattle any rims or racks there. Just up and in with the finger roll.
And Bosch backs down, fades. Miami no good on that time either. Spurs leading by 7. Let's go quickly over to Doris Burke for an update.
Now, a short time ago, I had a chance to catch up with Greg Popovich. We talked about the strategy as it applies to D-Wade. He said Dwayne can score at will when he gets into a rhythm. So our job is going to be prevent him from getting into that rhythm in the first place. Because if we can't do that, the points will just pile up. Most opponents are completely aware of that, guys.
And as always, Doris, thank you. Some changes here for the Spurs. Chris Anderson is checked in for LeBron. Allen comes in for Dwayne Wade. And it's Norris Cole in for Mario Chalmers. And back to the Spurs and their strategy of resting their star players, not without some controversy. The NBA, as you may recall, fined the Spurs and Coach Popovich for sitting all their starting players for a nationally televised game back in November.
Well, it was their 4th game in 5 nights, and Pop wanted to rest some of their guys because of just the nature of their schedule. But I think the problem was he didn't give the league advance warning. And that game against Miami, when he rested those 3 players, he actually sent them home. And I think that was a little shot at the league. And that's why there was a problem, and that's why the Spurs and Popovich ended up getting fined.
Left side, Anderson. Kicks it to Battier. They swipe it. And a fast break now for the Spurs. Bellinelli's got the ball, and that one's good. Parker.
Every time they get scored on during this run, it's come from inside the paint.
Now, you got to make a defensive adjustment here, Clark. Time to collapse inside, force the ball back out in the perimeter, make them beat you from long range.
And Miami calls their first time out of the game.
You know,